tourists and for Londoners.
Whereabouts is the heliport, and how do you get there? Sorry, the heliport.
There's one heliport in London. There's been another one at some point in the 70s, 80s. I can't remember exactly, but there is only one heliport now. And it's called Battersea Heliport, but actually it's near Wandsworth Bridge, relatively close to Clapham Junction train station.
So it's easy to get to then?
Yeah, I mean, on the transport-wise, the best way is to go to Clapham Junction. There's plenty of trains. It's every 4 or 5 minutes out of Victoria and Waterloo. And we're about 10 minutes walk away from there, or a very short taxi ride. There's a bit of parking nearby. With the actual road we're on is a private road, so and it's yellow line, so there's not immediately available parking, but there are streets nearby that you can park, and a lot of people just come by either bus or by taxi.
Before I found your press release at the World Travel Market, I thought there was restrictions about flying over London. So if somebody's to go on one of your tours, what can they see from your helicopter?
We take off from the heliport, which is on the river. We generally fly towards Putney initially, because that's the prevailing wind direction, turn around Putney and then all the way along the river, straight through central London to Greenwich, essentially. So, I mean, all the major attractions are on the river, luckily for us, including London Eye, House of Parliament. You can see Buckingham Palace very clearly, Trafalgar Square. All the sort of major tourist hotspots are in clear view from the river, and that's the trip we do. So, restriction-wise, there are restrictions. That we have to stick to specific routes, but the route we take is along the river, and that's carefully controlled by air traffic initially from the tower at Battersea Heliport, and then Heathrow we speak to, and on the way back east we speak to the controllers at City Airport.
Okay, that sounds quite complicated, keeping in touch with all those different people. But I'm rather you than me.
Yeah, and I mean it's that's pretty normal for the pilots. They're used to switching between different radio stations, and they're giving a commentary as well whilst we're flying. So they're pointing out all the major sites to the people on board.
Okay, I'll be no good at that because there's no way I can multitask. No chance. How many different flights do you offer?
We have been, just for the last 18 months, we've been doing one flight only, which is 20 minutes up and down that route I just described. We are, as from Monday, introducing 2 other routes. It's essentially the same route, but a different length of flight, just to give people a bit of choice on the price basis, really. So the shorter one is going to be from the heliport to London Bridge, so London Bridge / the Shard, which is another major attraction, and back again. That'll take 12 minutes, which sounds a little bit mean, but actually you get to see a huge amount of London in that time. And a lot of people are just looking for, I mean, apart from seeing the sights, they're also looking for a helicopter experience. So that ticks that box, and those are going to go out at £150 a seat. And it can be taken exclusively if you want to have the whole helicopter to yourself. But you pay for 5 seats and you get the whole helicopter. Then we do the 20-minute route I was talking about. That's £200, so that's Putney to Canary Wharf effectively, and back again. And then for the people who want to do a bit more, we're doing a half-hour route which goes along the river to Kew Bridge in the west. And it gives you a bit more insight into that end of London. And it goes a little bit further east and goes sort of towards Blackheath, Greenwich way.
We're in winter now and the days are getting quite short. So is there limited time that this is available, or can you fly at night as well?
There's 2 answers as well. That's 2 questions.
Okay.
The time is limited, but actually, even on our busiest days, we've been, doing sort of 10 or 12 flights. We've been finishing up by about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So, we can easily fit that amount of flying into the shorter days. And actually in the winter, we get some great sort of clear blue sky days. And the other thing, we can fly at night, but unfortunately all the regulations change as soon as the sun sets. And the price goes up accordingly, only because we have to fly a different type of helicopter, which has to come in from a different base, and that has associated costs. So the price goes up to £4,000 for a nighttime flight that's half an hour long. We're not sure how many people are going to take that up, but we've had a number of inquiries over the last year, 18 months, and so we're just going to make that available and see what happens.
How many people can go on that helicopter to share the cost out?
It's a maximum of 6 people.
It's not too bad then when you work it out like that, is it? Not for what you can
Well,
see.
I mean, the £4,000 one's probably quite toppy, but the other ones are £750,000 or £1,500 for the private flight or the exclusive flight. And if you divide that out, that it does become quite manageable cost. Yeah.
Yeah. You've already gone through the routes and everything, but in case somebody's already forgotten what you said, how can we find out more about London Helicopter?
Okay, well, we've got a website that sells tickets direct to the public on a live availability basis at www.thelondonhelicopter.com. That's THE londonhelicopter.com. So it's, as I say, live availability, lots of information on there, great pictures of what you're going to see, a little bit of video, and we welcome people down.
Okay, thank you. But before we go, when you're up there, what's your favourite site?
My favourite site is turning around at Canary Wharf. So having gone eastbound, turning around there, and then having a view west over London. It's just for me, it's goosebumps every time. Even when I'm describing it to you, I absolutely love that view.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine it now.
From you're up at somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 feet, which is a lot lower than the jets fly into Heathrow. And I mean, a lot of people talk about when they're lucky enough to fly directly over London on the way into Heathrow, but you're at about sort of 4,000-5,000 feet at that point. We're down 1,500 to 2,000 feet, and it's just a spectacular view from there. Okay,
great. Thanks, Chris. Thank you for your time. Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. And now travel news. And to prove that I don't just throw this show together, or sometimes I get lucky and news stories seem to flow with the content of the show. Earlier I mentioned about tourist taxes and resort fees in America and tourist taxes in Europe. Well, I've now got a story about fees for a few resorts, well, parking anyway. MGM Resorts has said that it will introduce parking fees at many of its Las Vegas parking garages and valet stands. There will be a few exceptions, such as the self-parking at Circus Circus, the valet parking at Crystals and Mandalay Palace shopping centres, and also the gated MGM signature property. This news came as part of a press release announcing the launch of a major parking strategy that includes the construction of a 3,000 space garage next to Excalibur, as well as $36 million in renovations to existing parking facilities, including a system that will guide guests to open spots and let them check parking availability on their phones before arriving. Now that'd be cool, especially when I go to Milton Keynes, because sometimes parking's a real pain. Anyway, of course this didn't go down with the locals and some of the regular Vegas visitors, and social media was used to give feedback to this idea. And the feedback includes things such as, say goodbye to my business, I will not pay for parking at any time for any length of time. And also, you've lost a customer here, I will never visit one of your resorts again. Pay for your own parking garages, don't hold your customers ransom for money to do it. And some said they will be staying elsewhere, and others. And there's also a Facebook group titled Support Free Parking, Boycott MGM Resorts International. And apparently there's over 1,700 members. Although if you're based here in the UK, you may wonder what all the fuss is about, because there's a ballpark figure of parking of under $10 for overnight guests, including using the self-parking, with valet fees will be slightly higher. That cost will include in-out privileges and cover all MGM facilities, so guests won't be charged twice in a 24-hour period, so you can go from one place to another and not pay twice. And also, locals will receive a grace period of complimentary parking, and M-Life members are eligible to earn free parking. But I guess you suddenly can't charge for something, especially in Vegas. An American tourist has been found dead on a deserted stretch of a beach and is thought to have been attacked by a man brandishing a cutlass. The 39-year-old, who was on holiday with her husband, was found about 12 miles outside the capital Grenada, which is St. George's. It is thought that she had been brutally raped and murdered on the first day of a holiday after arriving at the Las Sangres resort. The couple were attacked as they walked along the beach, but there are reports locally that the husband was able to escape and run back to the restaurant and hotel area to get help. Hopefully they'll find the people who did that quite soon. Thomas Cook has cancelled its summer programme to Tunisia, and this is following Thompson's lead, and the tour operator said with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office advice still against all but essential travel to the country, all bookings to Tunisia will be cancelled up to and including the 31st of October 2016. Thomas Cook is contacting customers individually whose bookings are affected by this, and some have been probably waiting for ages to know, because it's you don't know what's happening. If you cancel now before they say it's okay, you have to pay. If you wait, it could be too late to get another holiday, so it must be quite stressful for those who have booked. And those who are travelling earliest obviously are being prioritised against those who are travelling later in the year. Customers who have already booked can cancel their holiday or change to another destination free of charge. Those who rebook will have to pay any difference in price between the two holidays, but they will receive a £30 per person discount, regardless of whether the new holiday is cheaper or more expensive. And Thomson cancelled its Tunisia programme until at least the 31st of October as well, and that was done last week. And it's because of ongoing security concerns following the terrorist attack in the resort of Sousse in June. Their 33 clients of Thomson's and its a sister company, First Choice, were killed along with 6 other people. If you're one of these people who have been affected by the cancellations at Tunisia and you're not sure whether you could cancel or you had to go, maybe you wanted to go, please do let me know how you got on waiting for the announcement or whether you were quite happy to stay as it is. On the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. And that's the end of this week's travel news. It's the end of this week's show. If you've been on a helicopter tour of London, please do share your photos at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show so we can all get to see what the view's like. I'll be fascinated to see what it's like from up there. Also, if you've been to Florence like me, do share your photos there too. We can compare notes. It is a fascinating city to visit, and whether you're into history or not, and the food there, the food I had was great. Although you do have to be careful with some of the restaurants because they do try and drag you in, knowing you're a tourist, and they know that you're never going to come back, so they don't care about the food. So you do have to be careful just like most cities, where you go, and don't always believe the people standing in the street. All the websites mentioned on this week's show will be at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show, and the name of the hotel where I stayed at in Florence. I still can't remember. I think there's a dome in there somewhere, but I will dig it out and post it. And if you want to have any help with planning your holiday for 2016, just send me a message via the Facebook page and I'll read out your queries and answer them on air. And do join me next time on the Travel Show with John Guinn on ukhealthradio.com, where each week I'm checking it out before you check in.